Antonio. Yeah, lean in. Antonio's here. So this is great. If you don't want to go out and get your pieces framed, this is going to work just as well with original pieces or, you know, fun postcards. You're basically going to bump up like dollar store frames.
Exactly.
Or vintage frames.
Exactly.
You're going to upcycle them.
So I am often going into vintage shops looking for frames to reuse for projects and installations. And let me tell you, when you go into a secondhand store, what I'm looking for when I'm looking at frames is I always look for frames that have sort of an irregular shape.
Okay.
So something that's maybe not rectangular, like a square one is a great piece.
Yes.
And I'm also looking for frames that typically, sometimes have double matte. So you can see this one has a light matte and it has a dark matte. So these are sort of two of the reasons why I'd spend maybe a little bit more on a secondhand frame. And now whenever I'm buying something at a secondhand store, I always like to give it a bit of a sort of a shake test to make sure it doesn't fall apart, you know what I mean? And so that's always a good way to see if the glass isn't broken in the corner or the corners are not going to fall apart. Now the first thing you're going to want to do, Tracy, is you're going to want to turn it around and you're going to sort of want to deconstruct the frame. Now it's really important. First of all, there's typically a sort of a thin piece of paper that's on the back that you want to take off. Yeah. And then what you're going to do is you're going to carefully take off the hardware and don't throw the pieces out because you're going to need them putting the frame back together.
That's right.
And that's going to be helpful. So something like this you're going to want to keep and you can resecure. And the backing board you definitely want to keep because you can use it to put back the frame, but you can also use it to help trace out the mat that you're going to make, or you want to size up some artwork that you're going to put inside it. Okay? So these are some secondhand frames. Oops, as I go to break one. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to show you how to make a mat.
Okay.
Now what you're going to do is you're going to use a backing board from the frame, and then you're going to take some cardboard and you're going to cut it to the same size of the frame. And then obviously you cut out the opening, and I just used some regular cardboard. And then what I did is I went in my closet. Now everyone has and keeps these old gift shopping bags.
Yeah, I know. Some of them just get rid of them, but the ones that you still have that actually work, this is a smart way to use it.
So I've used the paper from a shopping bag that I had because I liked the texture. This one looks like it's got this faux leather print. So I've used that, and I really like the color. So you're going to turn it facing down, and then you're going to draw out your rectangle that's inside, and then you're going to score through the corners, and you're going to create these sort of flaps, okay? So what you're going to do is then you're going to lay it flat, and then you're going to simply fold back the flaps and tape it down, okay? And you're going to trim off the excess, okay? And then you're going to have a wrapped frame. So this is the finished piece that I wanted to show you, and you can see the artwork that came with it. Yes. And then when I put in my blue frame and put in some cool artwork,
you just hold that up.
You can see.
That's good.
I
get it.
I was a bit strategic because I wanted to bring out the blue, so I went for the blue mat.
Yeah, that's great.
And this is just a vintage frame I picked up at the secondhand store.
Right, and so that mat can be anything you want.
Exactly, and you know what? I've got another example right here. This one I did with fabric.
Oh, that's lovely.
So I used a fabric that looks like linen. It's just cotton, and I just wrapped it around the matting and put it in the frame.
That's nice.
Okay, so those are the first two. Now, whenever you're working with these secondhand frames, you're likely going to have to use some gold paint to touch up the corners.
I was going to ask you if you did anything to that. So just a touch-up, though.
Just a touch-up. I didn't do it to this one. This one I did have to touch up. It depends on how many times the frames fall off the wall.
Right.
So, okay. Now, what you can also do if you don't want to go to the secondhand store, you can go to like the dollar store or the discount store, and you can get these inexpensive document frames. Not a lot. And what you can do is take it apart. The great thing about these frames is that it actually has glass in it, which is really nice.
Yep.
But the mats on them are typically reversible. So it's dark on one side, light on the other.
Right.
So you can have more options with it.
Smart.
And then when you have a frame like this, what I simply did is I took my brush with just a little bit of paint on it, and I brushed on the gold paint, but I didn't want like a clear coat because I want some of the dark to show through to make it look like it was worn. And so you're going to keep repeating that. And so to show you what I finished off with is when I put the frame together and I flipped over the mat and I put in sort of an architectural print inside. This was from the discount store, the dollar store.
Lovely.
So you can make your own gold frame.
Right, so you can really put in any of your photography, any of those pieces that you want to highlight, but the frames look great.
And it's glass, so that's a great.
And it's glass.
Now, another thing I like to do is when I'm shopping for places, I'm always keeping the extra pieces.
Okay.
So these are old mats that I kept. You can see the other side, they were really worn, but I just painted them white.
Okay.
And I'm going to keep them for another project. And when you're doubling up your mats, what I like about it is that it gives the picture more depth. So here I
like
took
how
two
that
mats.
looks.
Yeah, two mats, and I put them together, and it just sort of gives the picture a little more depth, a little more interest.
Once again, it's like Kimberly said, the more you have, the more drama you get.
Exactly.
So great projects. Try them out. You're good, Antonio.
I got some more for you.
Okay, we got one more. We can fit one more in.
So these ones are made out of foam core.
Yeah.
So instead of using a mat, I used a thick foam core, sort of cut a keyhole out of there,
Look at
and put
that.
some pop art there.
Very nice.
Okay.
Okay, with that, now can I throw it a break?
Yes, yeah.
Just wanted to check with you.
No worries.